But this first entry here, it's all going to be about what Jaylen Brown did last year, what he improved upon. And it was a great year for Jaylen indeed. He stepped up his game both on and off the court, dramatically improving his production, giving lectures at Harvard, doing political and sociological interviews for The Guardian. And let me ask you this, Jared. Was Jaylen Brown's vicious posterization of Kristaps Porzingis, a white-skinned European, not the physical manifestation of Frantz Fanon's thesis of anti-colonial violence?
It was definitely his first foray into geopolitics, that's for sure. He actually made up for the annexation of Crimea by destroying Latvia in one place. So that was pretty impressive by Jaylen.
I don't know what either of you just said right now. I'm out to lunch apparently on both of those things. I don't know. It was cool though. I think it looked great. I love throwing it down on Porzingis. That's fantastic.
So Jaylen Brown, 14.5 points this year to go along with 5 rebounds, 1.6 assists. Shot 39.5% from 3, all in 30 minutes per game. We're going to get Cole Zwicker's take on Jaylen Brown here in just a moment.
I think the biggest leap for Jaylen Brown over time has been his confidence as a shooter. We see him in the playoffs shooting off motion. He can come off screening actions now. It's not just corner three-point shooting. I think he started out his career in the NBA mostly as a corner three-point guy off the catch. We've seen him diversify a little bit, take some pull-up jumpers, but I think the off-movement stuff is really big for him, and that just speaks to his confidence level. He's tweaked a couple of his mechanics as far as getting a little bit more fluid, and again, it's just about getting in rhythm, and I think he's done a much better job of that as his career has gone on. That really expands the number of sets he can be involved in. Defensively for Jaylen, I think most importantly, for me at least, it seems like the off-ball defense has gotten better. We saw some hiccups early in his career. He still bites on too many fakes, and he can cover up a lot of his mistakes with his athleticism because he's like 95 percentile athlete in the NBA, and that's probably being conservative. But I think that's the area that I look at that's improved the most. I don't see as many blemishes overall, and I think a lot of that has to do with switching and just being more alert. But overall, I think that is the key with him. We know he can defend on the ball. He's got that quick twitch. He's got the strength. It just comes down to that off-ball defense, and I've seen enough progression.
All right, you heard Cole Zwicker's take. Jared, what's your take on how Jaylen Brown improved over the past year?
You know, Tatum, Simmons, and Mitchell created this unbelievably high, unrealistic expectation of what a player should look like coming into the league. They were all so unbelievably complete players that Jaylen is what a star usually looks like coming into the league. They show some nice flashes as they try to carve out a role in their first year, take a really solid leap forward in their second year, and they continue to march on that trajectory. And the way that we just saw Jaylen kind of cover up so many of his faults from his first year, the fact that he became not only a competent dribbler, but a dominant player in transition last year was really a huge turnaround from the fact that when he would get a loose ball and try to dribble down the court his rookie year, he kept literally dribbling off of his foot. It was comical, and people were saying that he's uncoordinated and stuff like that. And then all of that was fixed over the course of one summer, and he came into the start of the season, and he was flying up and down the floor, had like 3 or 4 good dribble moves. He has a couple hesitations. He has a good Euro step. And I was blown away by the fact that he was able to improve in all of his areas of weakness in his second season rather than continue to accentuate his strengths. It was that he took all of those weaknesses and made them into net even strengths there, and he became a really good two-way player. He's already probably one of the best two-way wings in the league, and he's only 21 years old still. So it's his trajectory is incredible. Tatum gets all the accolades nationally with the Celtics, or gets all the praise and all the expectations. But Jaylen is really right there with him.
With Jaylen, it was like he should be a good defender, but when is he going to get there? Well, last year's the year where he got there, and he was stifling on that end of the floor. And when you have Horford and him and Tatum and Smart and Hayward and Rozier and Ozil, I mean, they have so many defensive guys that are all really good, but Jaylen is a little bit different because of how athletic he is. Honestly, you look at him and you look at Robert Williams as the only two guys that are that athletic that could be that big of a problem on that end of the floor.
Jared, what are you looking for as Jaylen enters year 3 of his NBA career?
I need him to start dunking from the foul line every single time it drives the lane. I think that's an important fundamental part. The next step would be, I think one of the things that he hasn't been able to do yet is take guys isolation easily. At least good defenders take them isolation, which is something that still happens. Doesn't really run pick and roll very often. He gets most of his shots coming out of the corner or working out of the high post. And there's not, he flows within the offense perfectly. but the offense doesn't initiate with him very easily yet, and that's the next big evolution for him.
All right, we're going to get Cole Zwicker here, the scout.
Can I just real quick? I would really like Jaylen year 3 here. So Richard Sherman of the Seahawks used to do this. I think Jaylen's the perfect guy to do this. Okay, I think Jaylen needs to before every game pick on somebody, and then go to the dictionary and look up some really obscure word that he can use as trash talk to somebody else and just mind fuck with them. And I cannot wait for that to happen, because Richard Sherman used to do that with everybody. And the only guy that didn't work on was Larry Fitzgerald, because Larry Fitzgerald's the nicest guy in the league. So other than that, and I think Jaylen could be a mental assassin like that. I think it'd be great.
I hope it's JJ Redick every single
Yes. Hey, I mean, I don't play that way. Oh, okay, bro.
Or poor Kyle Korver. All right.
Sorry.
Here's Cole Zwicker's take on Jaylen's future.
Jaylen's role long term is very fascinating to me, just because he's a sponge. He's really intelligent as far as his person. He can pick up on things quickly. Those kinds of guys tend to improve at rates than we don't expect. The blank slate avenue, I think, is pretty spot on coming into the league. His one skill was getting to the rim. We've already seen him evolve again as a shooter. So yeah, age 26. It's conceivable that he becomes like this pick and roll playmaker. I'm a little skeptical again in his vision, but overall, I think he is different from most players, most young prospects, because he has that top tier athleticism, and he also has the mental acumen to really improve.
So we just heard Cole Zwicker talking a little bit about where he sees Jaylen Brown's game developing in the future. Do you agree with him, Jared, or what's your take?
I think this goes back to what we talked about in the last podcast about how Jaylen was able to build off of his weaknesses so effectively from year 1 to year 2. Right now, one of the big things missing from his game is he has a little bit of tunnel vision driving the lane. He's not able to reset very easily, whether it's being able to turn around and dribble out, find another way to attack the rim, which I think he definitely got better at this year. And then, of course, being able to coordinate as be a playmaker, be a choreographer, starting sets. A big part of it, frankly, it's not even vision as much as just ball handling comfort. And we saw this year he was able to actually use his body to protect the ball better, be a more coordinated dribbler, but he's still not quite at the level that he can stop and go, trying to get through the lane the way that Rozier has gotten a lot better at. Obviously, Kyrie can do, and Marcus Smart can do pretty well. And actually, Tatum can do pretty well already, although he's not drastically better at this point. But so I'm looking for Jaylen to at least be able to dribble into space and try to put defenders in jail, operate more like an on-ball player in the future, just something that probably comes along in the next couple of years.
Do you think with the weapons the Celtics do have that he's for next year at least, he's still going to be more of a play finisher, Jared?
Yeah. I mean, that's Gordon and Kyrie and Marcus are going to be in that role for the most part next season, and I guess Terry as well. So they already have so many guys that can do that. Tatum can do it decently well, and that's being a pick and roll ball handler is still something that Tatum needs to add to. So Tatum's kind of in the same boat as Jaylen there, but where it really comes into play in the short term is when they have to go to their second units is can they have 3 guys out there that could run pick and roll and be playmakers the way that they have in their starting lineup, which we haven't even mentioned Horford, but he's also a tremendous playmaker too. So they're looking on Jaylen to stay out there because he usually stays out there for most of the first quarter. They want him to stay out there and partner up with Rozier and Smart, and they can still have everybody be playmakers all around the 3-point line.
Can we talk a little bit about Jaylen's long-term future with the Celtics, particularly his contract status? We know that.
No.
All right, Jared. Sassy Jared, you're on fire tonight.
On fire every night.
That's right.
I like that sassy Jared. That's good. It's very cute.
So, thank you. So, Jaylen probably in line for a max contract at some point. Can you envision him getting that extension when he's got that ability next summer, or will the Celtics wait on that? How do you think this plays out?
I don't see any reason for the Celtics to do the extension for the max at this point because he's not the fundamental player to their franchise. They already have plenty of those guys. And he's really the only. Actually, is there? No, there's really no difference. Just let him go to restricted free agency if it's going to be a max deal. Give him a 4-year deal, or I guess a 5-year deal offer where it's a little bit short, and see if he'll take it. But I don't see any reason for him to take it unless he has an injury, because right now he's on a very clear trajectory towards being a max player. So, nowadays those guys, for the most part, wait until they hit restricted free agency to sign that deal.